Thanks a lot for having me here. This is the work that we did with our CRM business at IBM. So I'd like to thank our collaborators, our business partners who basically trusted us to solve this problem well and also gave us a lot of insight into their business and gave us a lot of very good data. So with that, let me, okay, so yeah, it's called Near Optimal Non-Myopic Contact Center Planning Using Dual Decomposition. So I'm gonna describe the problem context first, then I'll briefly describe the solution approach and what experiments we did, and I will finish with the conclusion and future work. So the problem here is that, I'm sure you all have sometimes contacted organization for some sort of issues with the products or services that you are getting. So the problem that we are working on is on staffing a contact center optimally for efficient service delivery. So this is a contact center here, and there are several ways in which a customer can interact with the contact center. So a customer can just call them up. You can send an SMS, you can send an email, you can send paper mail, or you can chat with them. So there are these different media. Some are immediate media, some are delayed media. So in this work, we are not considering the immediate media. We are considering the delayed media case. So where you send an email or a letter to your service provider, and then they basically take some time to get to you with their solution. So this is how the process typically goes. So you need some help with some software. There is some issue. So you send an email. It goes to some sort of centralized system, which basically gives you an automated response. So it says, dear customer, your service request has been received, and your request ID is blah, 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 and we'll resolve it within 2 working days or whatever. So then then your service request basically goes into a big file stack, and then agents working in the contact center basically take things in a FIFO manner, and then they basically try to resolve your queries within that 2 days of time frame. And a lot of times these are 24/7 operations. So maybe you may be at 10 p.m. in the night, an agent comes into the system and starts working. Then maybe at 12, somebody goes away. Then maybe at 2, 2 more guys come in. And then at 6 in the morning, then 2 more guys go away. So it just keeps going on and on like this. So in these kind of businesses, 60 to 80% of the cost is on basically agents. So these guys really want to optimize their headcount. Now, the problem here is that the SLA stands for Service Level Agreement. So that 2 days that the automated response said, that's the SLA in this case. So the SLA has always to be met. Now, the thing is, work can be delayed for some time. Unlike call centers, when you call, you don't want to be on hold for maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes. But in this case, since the handling of work is being done in an offline manner, so even if you send some request at 12 noon, maybe somebody will start working on it at 10 p.m. in the night, and that's not an issue here. Then there are several business constraints like agent shift constraints. So you have several shift rules like agent can work 5 days in a week. All the 5 days have to be consecutive. So you don't want to shift like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then Thursday off, then Friday, Saturday, then Sunday off. Then they have to start working at the same time every day. Then the number of hours they work every day. So all those constraints are there. And then if your contact center operations are 24/7, then like I showed in the previous animation, people are overlapping from one day to another. And that also holds true at the weekends. Now, why I mention that is because the literature that is available in this domain, it's mostly for the case of call centers. Now, in call centers, there is hardly any work overlap from 1 week to another. So you can solve each week's problem separately and say, okay, you need this many people in this week, this many people in next week, and so on. But that quality doesn't hold true here, because if you have a SLA of 2 days, then definitely your work is overflowing from 1 week to another as well. So there is pretty strong dependency between consecutive weeks. So that's why the independent week-on-week planning does not work in this case. I mean, you can sort of enforce that you want to complete each week's work in that week as itself, but that's going to give you highly suboptimal solutions because it's too hard a constraint. So now, if you want to find a good head count level, then you need some parameters into the problem. So the most important parameter is how much work are you getting? Now, how do we specify that? So I mean, you can't just say that, okay, in this week, I'm going to expect 1,000 requests. That doesn't work. Because depending upon the time of the day and day of the week and several other features, the demand pattern basically changes very quickly. And the good thing is that in this domain, these CRM organizations have a lot of data. So what they do is, to specify the demand, they divide the entire planning horizon into small intervals, like 30 minutes or 15 minutes or 1 hour intervals. And then you are given an expected number of service requests in every 30-minute intervals. So that's how the demand is specified. Then, of course, we want to find out how many people are required to satisfy a demand. So you also need to know how fast they are working. So the handling time is also given. Then there are shift consistency constraints that I already explained. So, 5 days a week, and a person must start working at the same time every day and so on. And then, of course, you don't want to kill people with overload. So there is usually a constraint like the agents should not be occupied for more than 90% of their time. So the utilization has to be upper capped. And with this, with all this information, what the businesses want is they want to know that, okay, let's say my SLA is 1 day. Now, how many people I need? Let's say I need 50 people with that. If I relax my SLA a bit, let's say I make it 2 days, then how many people can I save? Perhaps 45. What if I increase it to 3 days, 4 days? What's the minimum number of people that I can do with? So they want to basically generate this kind of a curve. This basically SLA versus headcount curve. So, if you keep relaxing SLA, it doesn't mean that your headcount will keep going down and down. It's going to stabilize at some point. So they basically want to solve this problem in good time so that they can run several scenarios. In fact, even for forecast, this is planning for future. So they need to know the forecast for future. They don't generally just get forecast from one model. They have several forecasting models, and they want to run it over different forecasts. And they want quick and non-dirty solutions for their problems so that you don't want to run a scenario and then come back after 3 hours to get the solution. You want the solution in a few minutes. And they, of course, want improvement over whatever existing off-the-shelf tools are there in the market. So the big challenge here is that because the SLAs are relaxed, then there is more room for optimization. So if I give you a demand pattern and handling time and everything, and if you have to do that if you have to find the optimal staffing for a call center versus a contact center, in the call center scenario, the number of people required would be higher because you have to handle the demand immediately. But in this case, because of this, the time that you have to respond, it makes the problem difficult. It gives you more solution possibilities. So it becomes difficult to solve the problem. And then you can form one big MIP formulation for whatever 4 weeks or 8 weeks that you're planning for and try solving it. But it can, for a 4 week or more of a problem, it can take from several hours to even a day to solve the problem. So that's not feasible business-wise. So our goal here was to solve an 8-week instance near optimality within 10 minutes. Now, why 8 weeks instance? Well, that's basically business constraints. The business guys like to plan ahead for about 2 months in future. So they want to run 8 weeks instances in one go. Now, like I mentioned, in the literature, most of the problems that are being handled, that's all call center-based immediate media problem. So then those approaches just solve problem on week basis. So it's not applicable to this domain. So our solution is a dual decomposition based problem. We call it DDWAP. It's basically dual decomposition based workforce analytics planning. So what we do is we write one big MIP formulation for the entire horizon, whatever it is, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And then we basically highlight the week interdependency constraints. And then we dualize those constraints. So by doing that, we can solve problems independently week on week because we have dualized the week dependency constraints. The good thing about about this approach is that it is scalable. So the solving time basically just increases linearly in number of weeks. Whereas if you are solving one MIP formulation, if you solve it for 1 week, it will take a few seconds. You make it 2 weeks, it takes some minutes. You make it 4 weeks, it takes some hours. You make it 8 weeks, it takes one day. So that approach is not scalable. So this is scalable in number of weeks. And like I said, we got quite a bit of data from our clients. So we did our testing on 3 kind of instances. So the first instance was given by client. We had 30 weeks of data. And from that 30 weeks worth of data, we extracted 8 scenarios. Then there was another data from some other account where we had 20 weeks worth of data. From that, we extracted 8 scenarios again. From the first one, we extracted 20 8-week scenario. From the second one, we extracted 10 8-week scenarios. And then we generated some data synthetically just to see how it works on some weird sort of patterns. And we were given the handling time information by the client. So we just used that. And in our case, the planning granularity was 30 minutes. So each day was divided into 48 30-minute intervals. And each week is divided into 336 of these intervals. Now, we had to fix some other experiment parameters as well. So here we assumed that the shift length is 9.5 hours, which is actually, it might sound like inhuman, but it actually happens in some cases. So which is basically equivalent to 19 30-minute intervals. Then we assumed that our SLA is 5 hours, so which is 10 intervals. Then here we assume that each agent works 5 days in a week. And of course, those 5 days have to be consecutive. And we limited our time to just 10 minutes. So we wanted to see what kind of solutions we get within 10 minutes. And we compared our results with what we got from CPLEX in 10 minutes by solving a full 8-week MIP problem. So that one we are abbreviating as MIPF, which is basically MIP full. So now on the first data set, this is what we observed. So this graph that you see is the percentage gain that our approach gives over the full MIP formulation when the time limit for solving is 10 minutes. So the positive and bigger bars are better here. So it's our objective was to minimize headcount. So what this says is that for the first instance, the headcount that we got by DDWeb, by our approach, was 20% better than what we got with the MIP formulation. And you can see that 16 out of 20 instances, our approach is better, which I think is a pretty good result. But when we look at the results from the second client data set, it becomes even more obvious why this approach is better. So here, this is a slightly different graph. This is basically time to feasibility. Now apparently this second data set was more difficult. And as you can see, that only 2 out of 10 instances give a solution within 10 minutes for the full MIP formulation. So 8 out of these instances did not even get any solution within 10 minutes with the full MIP formulation. So if I wanted to make a graph like this, it's impossible to do that because we don't even have solution for 8 out of 10. Then another thing that we were interested in was seeing how fast our approach converges. So like I said, we did a dual decomposition here, and we used the standard projected subgradient technique to basically solve our problem. So we were tracking that how fast our primal and dual solutions converge. So what we observed that for most of the cases, 10 to 15 iterations, after 10 to 15 iterations, those primal and dual solutions are pretty close. So we don't, if you do all 30 iterations, it takes a bit longer. But that's not really required in most cases because within 10, 15 iterations, we get good enough solution. And this has been deployed at the IBM CRM business. Well, it's not IBM CRM business anymore. It's been sold to Concentrix now, but it's deployed there. And we have observed savings of 5 to 10% on this back office, the contact center problem over what was being done earlier. And it's actually equivalent to a few millions of dollars of impact. And the setting in which this is deployed, they're handling about 20,000 agents, and the businesses are spread across several countries. So to conclude, what we did was we basically looked at a problem that is very difficult to solve as a whole problem. So we used a dual decomposition based method for staff planning of 24/7 contact centers. Even if the contact centers are not 24/7, this approach is still valid because, like I said, there is always work dependency between weeks. So whatever work comes in this week, quite a bit of that goes on to the next week as well. So that dependency can be handled with this, even if the agent overflow dependency is not there. And this approach is scalable with respect to the length of planning horizon. And we are able to find provably good quality solutions for large instances and within good time as well. Now, what we can do as extensions is add some more constraints. So we took a simpler instance actually. The actual business problem has even more constraints. So they have constraints like in some cases, they can allow people to take non-consecutive day off. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday kind of shift is allowed. Then there can be multiple shift times. You never just have one type of agents. You can have full-timers and part-timers. And you could be given what's the fraction of part-timers, what's the maximum allowed fraction of part-timers. And then actually the constraints that I showed earlier about an agent must start at the same time every day, even that they are willing to relax. They say, okay, fine. Let's say somebody starts working on Monday 10 a.m. On Tuesday they can start on 12 a.m., but no more than that. So they allow maybe 2 to 3 hours of flexibility within the starting time. And then there are also other constraints like, okay, agents cannot just come in at any time and start working. The potential login times, they have to be synced with whatever your cab timings or transportation timings are. So all those constraints can be added to this problem, and we'll see how that works. And yeah, that's it.
Questions?
Yeah.
One in the back.
I'm just wondering that actually the load on the contact center is different from day to day, or it even maybe, for example, at 5 p.m. there may be increase in load. Does your model deal with it, or it's just?
Yeah, so like I said, we divide the entire planning horizon into 30-minute intervals.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe, from 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. you are getting low volume, but maybe 12 noon to 12:30 p.m. you are getting more volume. So that is incorporated there.
Mm-hmm. Does it take like online planning in case you have real big increase on load during the day? So you already planned for the agents, but you have big increase, so you need more agents.
Okay, so that's actually a different problem in this context.
Mm-hmm.
So when they are planning, they plan with some given forecast.
Mm-hmm.
But when the time of implementation actually comes, they solve another scheduling problem.
Mm-hmm.
So the scheduling problem also allows for overtime. In this problem, we didn't talk about overtime because when you're planning for future, you want to plan for normal work timings. But if you actually get some surge, then you can basically, because this solves in good time. So there is a similar problem for incorporating overtime and handling unexpected surges.
Other questions? This one over there.
You're solving 8-week instances. Could you explain again why you need to solve them within 10 minutes? Because if you solve them optimally, you say it takes a day. Why is that a problem?
So it is a problem because this is a running exercise. So these people, they have tens of accounts. Within each account, there are several line of businesses. Within each line of business, there are several queues. They want to solve it for all of them, and they want to do the what-if analysis. So they get their forecast from 3 different sources. So they want to check what's the headcount that I need according to forecast 1, according to forecast 2, according to forecast 3. So they want to play it safe there. And sometimes customers also come to them and say, okay, I think you are billing us too much. I want to reduce the number of people that are in my account. So then you tell me, if I relax the SLA from say 8 hours to 16 hours, what's the reduction you can give me? And to handle, to analyze a lot of scenarios, they cannot run it for a day and leave it.
Other questions?
So you mentioned that there is, like, emails are sent to the contact center and people have to respond. So are there different levels of requests which might take different times? Do you have any way to estimate how much time a particular job request needs in order to be able to solve?
Okay. Yeah. So you're talking about what essentially boils down to multi-scaling kind of scenario. So here we are assuming that one queue only requires one kind of scale. So, but yeah, that's one of the possible extensions that maybe you are given the same queue handles 3 different kinds of workloads. So that would be an extension of this work.
Other questions? So is there any chance that you might be able to release some of these instances for other people to work on?
We can potentially anonymize them and release them. That's
I think it
definitely
would be
possible.
interesting for other people to look at other methods too.
Yeah, actually, and there are quite a few other open problems in this area, like the chat kind of problem, where people are actually chatting with agents online, because in that case, a person can work on 2 or 3 chats simultaneously. So that problem has also not been touched. So there is quite a bit of interesting work that's left to do in this area.
All right, well, let's thank the speaker again.